Hello and welcome to the Eternity Bike Shop. So great to have you here at this time of the night. Did you manage to get a look at the sky outside? It's absolutely beautiful with the aurora lights. These aurora lights have been happening way too frequently these past couple of days, but I don't really mind. It's really beautiful out, and of course that means it's a great night shift for me. Anyways, I want to ask you, are you here to buy a bike? Yes? Well, I hope you have a lot of money on you because these bikes are not cheap. Oh, is that the token? May I see that? Well, you have the token. It is the real thing, alright. And if you have this token, you get a free bike. So I will make sure to give you a bike of your choice. Give me 1 second. Tim, can you get the 3D models of the bike? This guy has the token. Alright, bring it over. Thanks. Alright. While Tim is collecting the 3D models, I'll keep this to myself. And I want to ask you, who did you battle in the gym? You have the second gym now, I'm assuming. So who did you battle? Was it Gardenia or Orchard? Orchard, okay. Well, that kid, I've seen him battle, with my own eyes. He's very capable, but he's very shy and just always lost in his own head. So I think he's still getting used to being a gym leader. He'll get used to it over time. I know he's capable of that. I can be someone who can testify to that. But anyways, how have you liked Eternity so far? Yeah, I mean, if I can tell you a couple of locations. I don't know if you've been there or not, but there's the old chateau that is just before Eternity. It's a pretty spooky spot. A lot of people trespass into that place. It's just, it just has an eerie undertone to it, but nobody really has seen anything or heard of anything like that. But it is kind of eerie, a pretty popular spot. A lot of people trespass into it. There's also, there's also the Eternity statue of the legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh. You can find it on the east side of this city. And what else is there? Oh yeah, there's also the abandoned building that you probably saw towards north. People don't like to talk about it anymore, but it used to be Team Galactic's old headquarters. Yes, old headquarters. It's run down now. And I would not recommend you going there now because it's pretty dangerous. It's not up to standard, it's not up to code. Anything can collapse at any moment. But he used to be Team Galactic's hideout. It was their headquarters. And the reason I know this is because I'm sitting here today because of Team Galactic. 3 years ago, Team Galactic actually abducted my dad. And, they were asking for some ransom. And a trainer happened to be passing by at that exact moment, and he freed my dad. After all of that, my dad pretty much told me he was too old to run this shop, so I took over, and I run this shop now. So, as much as people don't like to talk about Team Galactic here anymore and pretend like they didn't exist, they've certainly had an impact on my life in one way or another. Yep, absolutely. Well, great. Looks like our 3D models are here. Let me show you everything that we have here, and then you can select what you want to take with you, okay? Alright, let's start with the first one. Alright, so the first thing I have here is the bike, and actually, this is one of the newer additions that I added in after my dad retired. I thought bicycles were becoming way too old-fashioned, and that's why I decided to add in a motorbike for people who wanted to have a little bit more ease of use. I'll tell you right now, these things are going to be crazy popular in the near future. Officer Jenny came to our shop just a few weeks ago, did a test run on these and ordered 15 of these. And she wanted the back seats to be fire resistant for the Growlithe to sit on, of course. Let me tell you a little bit about this bike. After all, this does fall under the free bike rule that we have. So the engines are 471cc parallel twins. You can see the engines right around here. And it provides a very reliable horsepower of 50 horsepower. And especially if you're going closer to Mount Coronet, there's a lot of slopes. where you really need to have a lot more power, and this bike can easily withstand those heights. The other thing is that the transmission on this is 6-speed, and then it's also a auto transmission, so you don't have to worry about knowing when you have to press the clutch. It'll be automatic, so you don't have to worry about that. That also helps with driving this in case you are not aware of how to drive manual vehicles. Also, what I'll say is that the suspensions on this is crazy. You can be going over the rough road and almost feel like you're driving over the most smoothest asphalt you've ever seen. And the brakes are pretty good as well. As far as the fuel capacity is concerned, this just runs on renewable energy, so you don't have to worry about refilling this as well. Pretty much you can just stop it and refill it through the power of electricity. So telling you all about this was very interesting for me because this is a newer product and this is something that I've introduced myself. So tell me, are you interested in this? Would you like to have this? Yeah? That's wonderful. Well, I guess I didn't have to show you the normal bicycle. This is good enough for you. Oh yeah, I just remembered. Do you have a driver's license? I just remembered. Officer Jenny told me when she visited here that anybody who drives this would require to have a driver's license. Do you have one? No? Alright. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think you can drive this anymore. See, the thing is, this thing runs on, electricity, and it goes pretty fast. And you have to drive it on the road. So this can be a little bit dangerous if you don't have the driver's license. And since you don't have it, I also just can't sell this to you. I would get in trouble with Officer Jenny. So unfortunately, and I'm very sorry for that, I don't think I can sell this to you. Even though this does fall under the free bike rule, you just don't have the license to make it work. But I have some good news for you. When everything else fails, there's always one final solution in life, and that is to drive a normal bike. So let me show you a little bit about this bike, and this is the old classic. So let me get into the specifications of this bicycle. Ever since the dawn of man, we've always looked for ways to be more efficient, and when the first person invented the wheel, everybody thought he was a madman. But not anymore. This bike is simply a homage to that person who made the first wheel, because this runs on 2 wheels. The traditional way of riding around places, you don't have to look at how much gas you have left, you don't have to look at how much battery you have left. All you have to look at is your legs and your power to push through. No amount of horsepower can come close to the power of a human leg, going in cyclical motion, pushing you forward. With that out of the way, let me show you the front. You can see there's a small basket to put your stuff in there. I know trainers like you are always looking for more storage spaces, so that's why we've added in a small basket for you to put your stuff in. You can see that there's also the chains are well secured on this, and there's 2 pedals as always. And then there's also a stopper. If you notice, the stopper is there to make sure that if you want to stop, you don't have to put your bike on the ground. You can just pretty much park it on the side by tilting it to the side where the stopper is. One more thing is that you'll notice that in the back there is space for you to attach a second seat if you want to. We don't give you that as a default, but it is something that you can get very easily from our shop, or you can use this as another storage space as well to put your stuff in. So, with all of that explained, I would like to ask you, would you like to have this bicycle? Yeah, we do have some other bikes as well that I can show you, but what I'll tell you is that this is the most premium one that has a lot of different storage spaces. You'll notice it has the stopper as well that I just talked about. The other ones are smaller bikes, and those are for people that don't have a lot of storage space. I can see from your backpack that you have a lot of space. You can just fit this bike in your backpack and be on your way. Believe me, I've seen trainers that fit whole bikes in their backpacks. It wouldn't be the first time. And I would personally also recommend this one to you. But if you want, I can show you the other ones as well. So what do you think? Look, I completely understand you wanted the motorcycle, but I'm very sorry to say we can't sell it to you since you don't have the driver's license, and it is my fault. I should have asked you beforehand if you did have a driver's license and then showed you that thing, but it just slipped my mind, and it's because I just get too excited every time I have to try and sell the motorcycle. But anyways, is this good enough or do you want to see something else? Good enough? Okay, great. In that case, what I'll do is I'll bring over Tim again, ask him to pull out the bike, and then you can be on your way. Yeah, and if you don't mind me asking, where do you want to go next? You're going to take the bicycle road to Heartroom City? Well, I'll tell you something, there's Mount Coronet. You can pass through that as well, actually, in that trajectory that you're going in. And what I'll recommend is don't stick around Mount Coronet for too long. After all, it can be pretty harsh, but this is just a pass through, so it's not that bad. Humans have pretty much move around and through that pass, but Mount Coronet itself is pretty scary. But anyways, it's pretty late at night. I'm sure you want to go and get some rest as well. And in the meantime, I'll go bring Tim here. Tim, can you get this bike for this person right here? Okay, thank you. Well, go to the front and Tim will have your bike ready for you, okay? Thank you so much for coming in here. Congratulations on your second gym badge. I forgot to say that the first time around. And if you ever want the extra seat on this bicycle, feel free to come back here anytime, okay? Alright, you take care. Bye. Well, it certainly is interesting to run into a Pokemon trainer at this time of the night at the Mount Coronet Pass. You should try to go through this pass at daytime. I don't know why you're here at nighttime. As you can see, this place is infested with wild Pokemon. And trust me, Zubat is the least of your worries. If you're inexperienced, you never know, you might find yourself trapped in a trap by a Pokemon. For example, look right here. You can't see anything, right? But now that this Geodude knows we're staring at it, it's gonna poke out and look at us. See? There's a Geodude right there. And it went back into hiding. You never know where a wild Pokemon may be, especially at night when it's really hard to see. You never know what's gonna come at you, so I really recommend you go through this place at daytime. You have 2 gym badges? Look, I know everybody thinks that they're more than capable of handling themselves, but 2 gym badges for Mount Coronet is not good enough. I'm not really a trainer, but I think even I might have Pokemon stronger than you. I have a Hitmonchan, I have a Grappler, I have a Rampardos as well, but even I try to be very careful when I go through this place at night. Well, I have to do it because I'm actually a hiker, a Pokemon hiker, and I'm also an archaeologist. They go very well hand in hand, right? Might as well do some archaeology if I'm just gonna hike anyways. And from what I've learned is that Mount Coronet seems to be the centerpiece of Sinnoh's history. And it's funny because, let me show you the map of Sinnoh. As you can see from the map of Sinnoh, Mount Coronet is like at the dead center of the Sinnoh map. And turns out Mount Coronet is also the dead center of the history of Sinnoh. It seems like ancient people that used to live in Sinnoh, they really thought that Mount Coronet was a special place, and they could leave behind drawings on the wall that you see right over there. You see that drawing? That's one of the many drawings that have been left over at Mount Coronet by ancient Sinnoh civilization. I think they knew that this place was so difficult for people to get to that anything they leave here will definitely stay intact for future civilizations. What I want you to do now is to get your attention and ask you to divert it back at the drawing over there. As you can see, there's a bunch of depictions on the wall, and it's very interesting. What could they be, right? Well, based on my research, it seems like these are depictions of legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh. But they don't have to be Sinnoh necessarily. How do we know that? Well, if you look at the very first row at the second Pokemon, that is a Regigigas. Regigigas is very closely related to Regis, Regirock, Registeel, and Relicanth. These Pokemon are more closely related to Hoenn than they are to Sinnoh. And that tells us something, right? Okay, if you were an archaeologist, what would you say that tells us? Very good. See, you're learning on the job. It means that the ancient Sinnoh civilization had some sort of knowledge of Pokemon that were not exclusive to Sinnoh. That means they must have communicated with people from other regions as well. You can use this deductive reasoning to get to a very good conclusion, saying that ancient Sinnoh civilizations did have some sort of connection with other regions as well. And while we're on the topic of ancient Sinnoh, it gets a little bit wordy to keep saying ancient Sinnoh, right? Well, in another place in the Mount Coronet, we found a wall that had the name for this region, how the ancient Sinnoh civilization used to call this region, and they called it Hisui. So you can say that the people that lived were Hisuians. Very interesting name, and honestly, I don't know what the connection is. Usually names are derived by taking another name. I don't know how Sinnoh can be related to Hisui, but it is what this whole region used to be called. Now we call it Sinnoh. But I don't want to bore you with all the archaeology talk. I can tell you a little bit about Mount Coronet if you're interested, because after all, this is the most important center spot of Sinnoh. Would you be interested in that? Yes? Okay, great. See, with the Mount Coronet, this place is not very safe. Even though this pass exists, it's recommended that all trainers try to go through it during daytime, unless you are a very strong and capable trainer, and by that, usually what people are talking about is at least 7 or more gym badges, usually 8. If you have 8 gym badges, it's fine, but you should still be careful. A lot of the stronger Pokemon usually resides on the upper level of Mount Coronet, so the closer you get to the top, the more stronger Pokemon you face, the rougher the climate becomes, and just in general, it's very hard to keep going. You have to really stockpile on a lot of potions, a lot of different items to just get there, and just for one person to go there by themselves, it's very hard. I've been there, I've gone up once, and that was also in a big team, and even then it was so difficult. You see all sorts of very strong Pokemon up there, trust me, and it starts snowing as well, so it's a very strong blizzard at the top. But if you do manage to get to the top, there's actually the Spear Pillar up there. And from what we know, Spear Pillar used to be a place where, ancient Hisuians, they used to communicate with the legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh. We don't know what happened, but it seems like it was broken down in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it was because of time, maybe some sort of event happened that caused its destruction, but now it's called Spear Pillar, but you'll be lucky to find one pillar that's still standing, completely upright. Yeah, it's very high up. It's at the very top of Mount Coronet. I would even say that, it's almost like a staircase to the heavens. It's that high up. But imagine if there was a staircase that went even further than Spear Pillar. You would be somewhere in space or something, I don't know. But Spear Pillar is really high up. And that's what's at the top. Usually it's recommended that if you want to call out the legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh, that's the spot everybody used to go to. So that's your best bet. But I'm sure, you're not going to see any legendary Pokemon. I've never seen a legendary Pokemon. Everybody comes to this world, hears stories about the legendary Pokemon, and then they die. That's the end of it. So I don't think you'll ever have a need to go up there, to be quite frank with you. But that's what I know about Mount Coronet. It's a very, very
beautiful place with a very rich history of ancient civilizations, but it's not safe for people like you to be going through it at this time of the night. Okay? Alright, awesome. So you said you were a Pokemon trainer, right? If you don't mind, can I see your team real quickly? Oh, that's great. Well, it seems like you have a Buneri. In case you don't know, you have to increase the bond with your Buneri to make it evolve. It's not just going to evolve by battling more and more. How you do that, you gotta figure it out, but you should increase your friendship with this Buneri to make it evolve. But if you want my opinion, I think you're not that prepared to go to Heartdrum City and challenge the third gym. From what I know, the third gym is actually very, very difficult, and you should be a lot stronger to challenge it. But you have other opportunities to go to other places as well, so you should be fine. Yep. Yeah, well, good luck with what you're doing. I'm just gonna go the other way where you came from. If you're going back over the other side, that one, where I came from, I can tell you all is clear. You don't have to worry about anything. Just keep going and hopefully nothing will happen. Most of the Geodudes that you saw right over there, they're pretty harmless. They're just trying to take a nap, but they gotta be careful of any possible threats, so they keep an eye on us. But as you can see, that guy never popped out again because he's just taking a nap. He knows we're not a threat. Alright, thank you very much for accommodating my request of going through this place really quickly. And please try to make sure you never come back here unless you are strong enough. And you know what I mean by strong now, okay? Alright. You have a good night. Stay safe. Bye. Look, Smeargle, I'm telling you for the last time, there's a lot of issues with this painting you just drew. Look at the mountain and look at the trees. Doesn't make any sense. The perspective is completely off. Smeargle. But you don't believe me? Look, I have experience. What I'm saying is the absolute... Who are you? And what are you doing in our house? Do you just randomly barge into people's houses? No, of course I don't lock my door. Nobody ever barges into another person's house, at least in the Sinnoh region. You know what? Don't try to explain yourself. You are here at the right time. Look at this photograph and tell me. Do you think this looks like a passion project, or does this look like something a professional artist would create? Passion project, right? See, Smeargle, I told you. I've been having trouble with this Smeargle. I caught it about a month ago, and as an artist myself, a very renowned artist, I've been trying to teach him how to draw better. But he's not listening to my feedback. It almost feels like he thinks he's perfect in how he draws. If only there was some way I could get to him and make him realize that listening to feedback can be a good thing. Hi. I have an idea. How about we do this? Since you're here, why don't I make you the judge? I'll show you an art that Smeargle has created, and then I'll show you another art that I've created. I want you to give feedback on which one you think is better. Smeargle, this person, we both don't know him. If he says mine is better, will you finally accept that you need to start listening to my criticism? Smeargle, 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 Smeargle. Seems like he is ready. Great. Look, I know I'm asking you for a big favor. I promise I will make it worth your while. Please, please, can you be the judge? How am I going to make it worth your while? Well, I'll teach you how to draw. How about this? A free sketching session with me if you decide to judge between the two of us. Smeargle, that sounds good? Smeargle. Great, Smeargle is on board as well, so what do you say? Perfect. Okay, then walk over there to the other room because I'm going to show you my art and then Smeargle's art. Let's go. Thank you so much for following me to this room. Tonight I'm going to be showing you 2 different art of Pikachu. I'm not going to tell you who drew which one. that is something I'll reveal at the end. I want you to, if possible, talk me through what you're thinking with each art as well, and then finally make your decision on which one is better. Then I'll reveal who drew which one. I have my LED screen right over there and my remote. I'm just going to press a button to load each image, okay? You ready? Smeargle, are you ready? Smeargle, Smeargle, Smeargle. Okay, I'm going to load the first image. Cool, so talk me through it. Looks like you really like the surprised expression on the Pikachu. That makes sense. How about the background? Okay, background goes well with it. That makes sense. Anything else? Anything that you don't like? The lack of detail. I see. Well, it's certainly true. There is very much a lack of detail in this art. But maybe it is something artistic. But I feel that too, so you're not alone in that feeling. Now let me show you the second art. There we go. Now, walk me through this one. You really like the elegant look on Pikachu? Great. You like the dressing on the Pikachu? Yeah, it is a very drippy dress, I agree. And Pikachu looks really nice with this. Anything else? You like the background? It makes the Pikachu pop out a lot more. There you go. I didn't think that you would notice something like that, but it is true. That is actually what's happening here. Anything negative you notice in this? No. Okay. So then if I were to ask you which one you would grade more, which one would you say is better? The second one? I see. Well, Smeargle, I think you already know the results, but I'll tell you. The first one was done by Smeargle. I did the second one. Smeargle, I think this is a great learning lesson for you. You have to realize I don't really have a vendetta against you. I just want you to improve and get better. But I think maybe I've been a little bit too tough on you at times, and maybe that has driven you away from accepting my feedback. So let's reevaluate our student-teacher relationship. I'll be a lot more kinder in how I give you feedback, and I expect you to start taking feedback from me more seriously. What do you say? Smeargle, Smeargle, Smeargle. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, Smeargle, that you're finally ready to open up to me. It feels great. It seems like we're finally going to be able to reconcile our differences and work together. Thank you so much. It's because of you that we've managed to reach this point. Otherwise, I felt like we were both going nowhere. I promised you that I will be teaching you how you could draw by doing a free sketch. I totally don't mind that at all. How about I teach you how to do a sketch, and then you draw a sketch and show it to me? Sounds good? Okay. Then follow along and stand right behind me. I'm going to show you how you draw, okay? Alright, come with me. Come on, Smeargle. Alright, so let me show you how you draw. We're going to be sketching a Pikachu. It should not be difficult whatsoever. The most important thing about drawing a Pikachu is you draw the ears. So here I have 2 ears. The pointy end of the Pikachu's ears are usually black, so then we color that black. Then we go in and we draw the face. So just connect those 2 lines, and then you connect the bottom part like a bowl. Make sure you draw 2 eyes, 2 circles on the side. Put something over the eyes. Draw a nose, and then draw a face. Now, I want you to draw the body, and then I want you to draw the tail, like that. Now, don't confuse yourself. Pikachu's tail does not have any black portion at the end. That's just a false memory in your mind. This part is brown though. Then we add the feet, the hands. Now, you might be thinking this is not complete, and you're right. This is where the most important part of any sketcher's sketch comes in. The detail. If you get your details right, your art becomes 10 times better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some detail. And there you have it. A picture of a Pikachu after adding in all the detail. Don't forget the detail part. It's the easiest part of drawing Pikachu, but it's something that gives your sketch a real life feel to it. So, here was my tutorial. Now I want you to go and try drawing your own Pikachu, okay? I'll be by the entrance of the house where me and Smeargle were initially arguing and you came in. Once you're done, bring it back. Me and Smeargle are gonna evaluate it together, okay? Alright, good luck. Okay, you finished the art, I'm assuming? You did. Okay, can I see it? Okay. Well, I see the chew. I don't know where the Pika is in this. There it is. I think you forgot to implement the most important step in drawing a Pikachu, which is the detail. Once you get better at adding the detail, which I added at the very end, you're going to be able to draw a perfect Pikachu. But right now, this passes as a chew, but not a Pika. So I give this a chew out of Pikachu. Not bad at all. Smeargle, what do you think?
Smeargle, Smeargle, Smeargle. Smeargle, Smeargle, Smeargle.
Well, it's a good thing you don't understand what Smeargle is saying, because what he's saying is it's very great and there's potential for improvement, but you're certainly on the right track. That's what he said, right?
Smeargle?
See? Great. Thank you so much for being the judge between the two of us. I know it was a bit of an odd request. And you barging into our house ended up being a great thing, actually. Alright, well, you're just by the entrance of Heartroom City. If you want, you can just go straight to Heartroom City now. Okay? Alright, take care. Bye. Alright, Smeargle, you gotta start listening to me from now on, okay? I cannot believe I lost to the third gym leader. What an absolute joke. Speaking of jokes, you made it. Congratulations. You know, I'm really proud of you. I didn't think you would get this far. Quick question. Did you read the note I left for you? Look, you might not think of yourself as a dork, but you definitely came across as one. You know, you seem like the kind of person who would cancel their doctor's appointment because they weren't feeling well. And your sense of fashion back then was absolutely horrendous. And even right now, it's still the same. Horrendous. But still, now that I kind of think about it, I'm not that surprised that you managed to get this far. After all, the second gym leader was terrible. No sense of fashion, no sense of battling, no sense of being cunning. And I will say that if I had to choose between him and you, I would definitely pick you as the winner. You certainly seem more capable than that person, but that's not saying a lot. Answer a question for me. Did you take the stairs from the mountain down here? Because I did not see anyone coming down from the mountains. Oh, you were at the Pokemon artist house. I see, I see. You know, I actually went to that place, but I don't know what was going on. They were just arguing and bickering over art. It made no sense to me, so I just left. But it's good to know that at least you went there. Did you manage to learn anything? You learned about art and how to draw. That's amazing. You should draw a portrait of me. After all, I think I am the perfect model. And I think you might get popular by drawing a perfect specimen like myself. I guess you're not that unfashionable at all. You've earned a little bit of respect in my eyes for learning that skill. That's for sure. How did I get here? What do you mean? The bike. Looks like the second gym leader told you about me then. Oh, all I'm gonna say is I did nothing wrong. You know, that second gym leader was upset by me, and I'm not sure what the reasoning for that was. All I told him was that he should not be a gym leader if he's gonna use this opportunity to get used to being a gym leader. He should have been prepared from the very first battle he had as an official gym leader. This is no joke. This is a very prestigious position in the Pokemon League, and he was using it as practice to get used to it. In my eyes, if you're not perfect, you're not ready. And it seems like it upset him, so he didn't give me a bike voucher. I'm sure he's still laughing ear to ear, grinning over the fact that I'm still stuck in Eternity, but he's absolutely wrong. You wanna know why? I'll give you a simple explanation. Do you remember where we met in Eternity? Old Galactic HQ, exactly. I wasn't only there to look at old legendary Pokemon documents. I was actually there for another reason. I needed to get a bike, and 3 years ago, Team Galactic abducted the bike shop owner and held him in the old Galactic HQ for ransom. I was part of the team that actually abducted the old bike shop owner. And what I do remember also is that we also kept some of his bikes as ransom as well in our garage. So I wasn't only at Old Galactic HQ to look at legendary Pokemon documents, I was also there to get myself a bike. It is an old bike. It's a pretty old version of the bike, but it does the trick. I was able to get here. So, joke's on that second gym leader. He can keep living in his delusions that I'm still stuck. I'm not stuck. If you're as fashionable as me, you can always find a way. Now, I want to ask you a question. Did you get a bike voucher? You did. You have a new bike? I simply can't accept the fact that you have more fashion points than me right now. How about we do a game? If I win a Pokemon battle from you right now, I take your bike and you take my bike. But if I lose, you keep your bike. And why am I even explaining? I'm never gonna lose anyways. So, do you accept? You know what? You don't have a choice. We're battling right now. Let's go. Starly. Let's do this. Starly, use pluck. If you can hit me hard, I can hit you harder. Starly, use Endeavor. Tch, come back, Starly. Hey, you're not half bad, but let me see how you deal with this. Monferno. Running away, are we? Well, it doesn't really matter. Monferno, Mach Punch whoever comes out. I'm always 2 steps ahead. Monferno, one more Mach Punch and finish it off. Oh, by the way, I thought I would step closer to you to let you know. Normal type is not great against fighting type. Fighting type is super effective against normal type, so you should keep that in mind. I'm just being a good person and teaching you how to battle, because it seems like you're pretty incapable of doing so. Anyways. Now that's not bad at all. Monferno, dodge Staravia's attack, and then follow that up with a Flame Wheel. Dang it! Come back, Monferno. Come on out, Buizel. You're all that I got. You've done a great job pushing me into a corner, but it's not over yet. Buizel, use a water gun. Buizel, dodge the next attack. You did your best. Come back. It's nighttime already? I didn't even notice. Let's decide the fate of this battle with my last Pokemon. Roselia, use Stun Spore. Come back, Roselia. What is this? 2 losses in 2 days? And the second one to someone as unfashionable as you? my days can't get any worse. No. Can't believe I lost. That makes no sense. Don't be too happy. The only reason you won is because I was mentally exhausted from losing to the third gym. Yeah, that was it. I was just mentally exhausted. That's why I lost. You should not be too happy about this win. You just got lucky. But anyways, if you're thinking of challenging the third gym, you're out of luck. If you compare our skill level to the skill level of the third gym leader, it's more than a mile. And I've been staying here in Hearthome City for a few days now, training and trying to improve and get stronger, but it feels like I'm still so far away from beating that gym leader. So you can try if you want to, but you're not going to get anywhere by challenging this gym leader. And it can be a little bit demoralizing as well to challenge someone who's so much stronger than you. But once I have a legendary Pokemon on my team, neither you nor that gym leader, not even the champion, none of you can beat me once I have a legendary Pokemon on my team. Since you beat me, I would like to give you some information. After all, I was going to take your bike if I won. So, the information I have is on the legendary Pokemon Dialga. Have you been noticing in the night sky, the aurora lights have been happening a lot more frequently? They're not happening tonight, but they are happening more frequently. Yes, you've seen them? Well, usually the popular theory and what I've confirmed is that these aurora lights are very much connected to Dialga being in our realm. It seems like Dialga is in our realm and it seems like it's searching for something. Now what that item is, I'm not sure, but it seems like it's traversing through our realm over and over again, trying to find what it's looking for. Now if you manage to find what it wants and take it up to Mount Coronet, I think you have a pretty good chance of battling Dialga and catching it as well. Now of course, you're not the one who's going to do it, it'll be me. And once I have Dialga in my team, you can say goodbye to ever beating me again. Whether I'm mentally drained or I'm not mentally drained, you are not going to beat me whatsoever. But anyways, I would like to ask you one more thing. I have a Pokemon contest ticket. Do you want to go to the Pokemon contest hall tomorrow with me? I booked a session on how to dress up your Pokemon. You know, you're not that bad of a trainer, even though you beat me by luck this time. Don't forget that. You beat me only because you got lucky. But you're not a bad trainer, so I really hate seeing a trainer like you with a horrible sense of fashion, so how about you join me tomorrow morning at around 10? Meet me outside the Pokemon contest hall and we can both go and learn about how we can dress our Pokemon more fashionably. What do you say? Do you think you can make it? Yes? Wonderful. Well, in that case, I'm gonna go because I have to wake up early and it's already nighttime. I didn't realize our battle was so long. Anyways, oh yeah, one final thing. I'm very surprised that you haven't noticed this, and it's none of my business, but I'm only gonna say this once. Seems like your Turtwig is struggling with something. You know, I saw it firsthand during the battle, and I saw it after the battle as well. Seems like your Turtwig is struggling with some sort of a mental block. That can happen to Pokemon at times, and the best thing is to just talk it out with your Pokemon. You know, much like humans, Pokemon also prefer being talked to. So, I'm actually a little bit disappointed that you didn't notice it for so long. But it's none of my business. But I thought I'd let you know, at least once. After all, I do care about Pokemon after all, so do what you want with it. I don't care. I've done my job of letting you know. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow morning then. Bye. Come on out, Turtwig. Hey Wiggy, how you doing, buddy? Doing good? Wonderful. You know, I'm so happy we got this room for such a low price. It almost feels like a steal, but it makes me very happy. I called you out here because I wanted you to relax. You did a really great job against Rohoso, more specifically the Starly. It is a flying type Pokemon and you are a grass type Pokemon, and you still managed to take out the Starly, which I think is wonderful, so very well done. I'm very proud of you for that. Well, it's a little bit uncomfortable for me to even say this, but I wanted to talk to you about something else as well. You know, it seems like there's something that's weighing on your mind, and I got to know of that after Bahoso told me. And after thinking about it really hard, I think it's certainly true. There really seems to be something that's on your mind, right? Look, you don't have to acknowledge it right now. I see you are a little bit tipsy, you're a little bit nervous. How about I try to relax you? And I'll relax you by doing what you love the most. You get really relaxed when I tap on a Pokeball, right? So how about I do that and make you feel relaxed, and then we'll have the conversation. Yes? Okay. You know, the first time I realized that you feel relaxed when I do this, I just could not believe it. It was so bizarre to know that you feel relaxed when I do this. But I'm sure there's a lot of things that I do that you find bizarre. We've learned so much about one another when we started our journey in Seacian Town, and from there we've met so many trainers, we've gone through so many experiences, and you got to learn so much about me, I got to learn so much about you. And I still remember the first time Professor Manuka told me you and I have a special bond. It seems like I perhaps took that for granted, and that's why I wasn't even able to see that you were struggling with something in your mind. I thought we had such a great bond that you really didn't need anything from me, and now I realize that that was wrong. I should have given you more time. But I want to make right what I was doing wrong. That's why we should really have this conversation tonight. But let me relax you a little bit more. Okay. Heart Home City is so peaceful at night. I can still hear the big fountain outside of our house. It's so nice. Okay, do you enjoy this? Wonderful. Seems like you were feeling more relaxed, right? Yes? Okay, that's great. Then that means we can start talking about what I wanted to talk to you about from the very beginning. Vicky, there seems like there's something bothering you, and after Wuhoso told me that there's some sort of a mental turmoil that you're going through, I really thought about all the interactions we've had, and it seems like I finally managed to pinpoint exactly what is on your mind. Are you perhaps by any chance afraid of the idea of evolution? You don't have to deny it, you don't have to act strong. You know, when I think back on all the battles we've had for the past couple of battles, it seems like every time you are almost at the point of evolution, and then you stop yourself voluntarily. But it doesn't seem like you do it out of your own volition. It seems like there's some sort of a mental block that causes you to stop, and there's some sort of confusion on your mind as well. Is that true? Okay, so you're finally admitting it's true. Wonderful. So then, why don't you tell me what's bothering you about evolution? So there's two things, it seems like. The first one is the idea of change. You don't want to change. And then the second one is that I'll abandon you. Well, I don't blame you for having these fears. I think having fears like these are very rational. It's very normal to have a fear like that. The first thing I'll tell you before I even tell you anything else is, Vicky, at the end of the day, I just want you to be happy. Whether you voluntarily choose not to evolve, or whether you voluntarily choose to evolve into a Grotto. I'm totally okay with either option. If you choose to stay as Turtwig forever, that's okay with me. We'll be the first starter Pokemon and trainer duo that's going to become the Pokemon champion. And with the Pokemon starter being first form, we can certainly do it. We just have to train really, really hard, and we can make it work. The champion has nothing on us if we try really hard. So that's number one thing. I just want you to make a decision and stick with it and be happy with it and be content with it so that you don't feel worried anymore. Second of all, what I'll tell you about change is that change is happening all the time. I think you don't realize, but I'm not the same person I was when we first met in the Pokemon lab in front of Professor Manuka. Same way, you're not the same Biggie I met as well at the Pokemon lab. We've gone through so many experiences together, so many adventures, and in those adventures, we've both changed. Starting from Sanjum Town, going to Jubilife City, getting the 2 gym badges, getting here to Heart Home City. We've gone through so much, and you're not the same Pokemon that you were before, at Sanjum Town, and I'm not the same trainer as well. So change is happening, whether you want it to happen or not. And the second thing is that change doesn't really change you. It's just a new adventure, a new chapter of your life. But the one who experiences it is still the same. It's you and me. We're still going to be experiencing the same thing. So we're not going to change. It's just that it will be a new chapter of our life. What I simply am trying to tell you is that I hope you're not afraid of change, because if you are afraid of change, you might decide not to change. And that in itself is also a decision you're making. And it's going to change how your future is going to be. And you can't escape that. I don't want you to get to a point in the future where you perhaps regret the decisions you've made of not changing. And perhaps you decide that you should have changed and you should have made decisions instead of being afraid of them. That's the only thing I'm afraid of. Does that make sense to you? Yes. So change is happening to you all the time, and that's why you should embrace it, not be scared of it. And then regarding me abandoning you, I'm never gonna do that. No matter how much you change, whether you turn into Grotto, whether you turn into Torterra, it doesn't really matter to me. At the end of the day, you are still gonna be that same little Vicky I met in the Pokemon lab. For me, it's always in your eyes. The moment I look into your eyes, I see that same Vicky I saw at the Pokemon lab staring right back at me. It doesn't matter if you're Grotto, it doesn't matter if you're Torterra, it doesn't matter if you turn into a different Pokemon. I know it's you just by looking into your eyes. When we lock eyes, I know it's you. That's never gonna change. What's also never gonna change is your favorite puffin. I know what your favorite puffin is. I know what you love to eat. I know what your favorite hobbies are. I know all of that. And even if you change, that stays the same. So you don't have to be afraid of me leaving you, or perhaps abandoning you for changing. It's just a normal part of life, and I hope you don't leave me as well for changing as well, because that's inevitable for me too. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Wonderful. Well, how about we do this? Professor Manuka was very kind enough to send me some information about Grotto, which is your next form of evolution. I thought, why don't we take a look at your next evolution and perhaps that'll ease you a little bit on perhaps evolving. But you don't have to evolve, as I said. Even if you decide at the end of it you don't want to evolve, that's perfectly okay, alright? Okay, let me pull up the Pokedex. Okay, I got the Pokedex right here. Thanks to Professor Manuka, let's look at your next form. This right here is Grottle. This is what you're gonna evolve into. As you can see, it still looks very similar to you, albeit just a little bit bigger, right? From what you can tell, it says you are around 3.7, so 3 foot and 7 inches tall on average, which is not bad. You're still going to be shorter than me, and you're going to be 213.8 pounds. Now I know you like me carrying you whenever we're celebrating, or whenever you feel like it. I do carry you around. If you want me to, I can start going to the gym. I'll lift weights every day, 7 days a week. I think I can still pick up 213.8 pounds if I try really hard. If that's what you're worried about, I can try. And then we'll think about when you turn into a Torterra on what we want to do. Perhaps I'll buy a big crane and then I'll lift you on the crane. And that will be our new way of lifting you up. Another great thing is, right now you're still a grass type, but you start learning some ground type moves as well as you progress. And Torterra, your final form, is going to be ground type too. So that means that Bohoso can't really take advantage of his Monferno or Infernape in the future against you. You do have some way of fighting back, if that makes sense. Remember the Pokemon Academy we went to? Yeah, if you remember the instructor, he told us, right? He said that I should teach you some ground type moves too when you turn into a Torterra. Now of course, you don't have to evolve, but if you do, it's going to give us great coverage. And then let me read you what it says about your, Grottle's nature. It says it lives along water and forest. In the daytime, it leaves the forest to sunbathe the trees on its shell. Doesn't your shell look really cool? Right? Yeah, it looks very nice. It's going to get a lot bigger. It's going to get a lot sturdier. I can tell you, you're going to get really tough. Very tough. So it's not all bad, isn't it? Once you look at your own evolution and what you're going to look like, it doesn't look that scary anymore, doesn't it? Right. We're going to have to say thank you to Professor Manuka for sending us this beforehand. I really appreciate that for him. So, ultimately, I think what I'm just trying to tell you again is make a decision and be happy with it. It doesn't really matter what you do. For me, you're the same Viggy. Okay? It seems like you're starting to get just a little bit sleepy. So, I don't want to bother you for too long. After all, we do have places to be tomorrow. Bohoso has invited us to the Pokemon Contest Hall to learn more about how we can dress up our Pokemon. If I'm being honest, that guy, I don't know what to think of him. But anyways, an invitation is an invitation, so we should really go. Alright? Okay, have a good night's rest, Turtwig, and I hope you are finally able to find peace. Alright, have a good night. I'll take a nap too on this bed right here. Bye. What the? Amazing. Looks like you finally made up your mind. I can tell you're finally at peace as well. That's wonderful. I'll wake you up tomorrow morning. I'll treat you to your favorite breakfast, same as always. And then starting tomorrow, while you train, I'm gonna also start training to make sure I can still lift you in my arms. But I'm so happy to see that you're finally at peace. Take a good night's rest, and then tomorrow we have to go meet Vahoso. Have a great night, No. Have a great night's rest, Biggie. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Good night. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you as well. I'm assuming you guys are here to attend the morning session that was booked by the name of Vahoso on how you can dress up your Pokemon in a more trendy fashion. Is that correct? Wonderful. I only had one person registered for today's session. Who's Vahoso out of the two of you? Well, he is an acquaintance of mine. He is not very fashionable. He's not up for the trends. I thought he must learn how to stay trendy and fashionable at all times. It is of utmost importance after all. Ah, I see. So you are Vahoso and you are just tagging along. Okay, interesting. I might have to register you. What was your name again? I see. Okay, I have you registered right over here. That's wonderful. You know, dressing up your Pokemon is absolutely of utmost importance. Here in the Pokemon Contest Hall, there are people coming in every day trying to learn how they can dress up their Pokemon in the most perfect and trendiest of fashions. After all, Pokemon Contest Hall is the place where Pokemon Contest takes place, where not only the Pokemon, but how they dress up, how they conduct themselves, and how do they do their moves. All of that is very important. You have to look the coolest out of everyone to win a Pokemon contest. By the end of this session, maybe you both might be tempted to try and compete in a Pokemon contest. Oh, I'll be honest with you, Pokemon contests aren't really my thing. What about you? No? Seems like it's not for both of us. But to be honest with you, if I did participate in a Pokemon contest, I think I'll win very easily. There wouldn't even be a contest, so I don't want to ruin the fun for everybody else. But I tell you what is trendy and what is fashionable is changing all the time. You have to be on top of your game, right? Well, that is true, right? Awesome, I'm so excited then. Are you ready? Okay, looks like we're ready. Let's start then. Wait, did you just... What? Are you changing your glasses every time you speak? What's up with that? Well, like I said, the latest trends and fashion is constantly evolving all the time, so I have to stay on top of my game. I can't let anyone else be more fashionable than me. But enough about me. I'm excited to start this demonstration. You are as well, right? Yeah, so let's get started, please. Well, you certainly are dedicated to stay on top of modern trends and fashion, and honestly, I cannot blame him for that because modern trends and fashion are changing all the time. Something that was trendy up until yesterday might not be trendy anymore. Take for example something like this. This button right over here that you would put on a blazer or a coat. This was trendy up until last week, but now this is out of fashion, so I can't use this anymore. But this is just one of the many examples of things that are in fashion up until yesterday, and then all of a sudden they're not in fashion anymore. The same is true for Pokemon fashion as well. Pokemon fashion is ever changing, and the interesting thing is Pokemon don't have the same physiology as us. You know, we as humans, we usually have a very similar structure, but a Pokemon goes through evolutions. There are so many different types of Pokemon in this world, and not one kind of fashion applies to all the Pokemon, and as such it has to be a very custom set of fashion that would apply to every Pokemon. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to call my good friend Pikachu, who is taking a nap and relaxing right now, to be our model. I want to go for something that's more general, not really something that is seasonal, maybe, nothing that is very much bound to specific weather, specific circumstances. I just want to go for something that's trendy and looks cool, regardless of the setting or the situation. And this Pikachu is going to be our model for this. I want to ask you guys, both of you, what is something that you would start with on this Pikachu that you can dress up this Pikachu with? I don't know. What do you think? A hat? Okay, let's expand on that. What about headwear in general? I think that's a good place to start, right? A hat. Yes, you're onto something here. Let's try different hats on the Pikachu and see which one works best. Now, of course, the first hat that I'm going to show you is actually just going to be a beanie. And this is to prove a point that not everything goes on every Pokemon. So if I try to put this beanie on this Pikachu, you'll notice that it doesn't look all that great. It doesn't look all that nice. It doesn't fit. The ears are too big for Pikachu. It won't go. So this is a great example of how not one thing fits all Pokemon. If you tried putting this on the Machoke or the Machop, it would work just fine, but it won't work for Pikachu. That's why we're going to scrap this. And the other thing is this would go great as a seasonal dress for maybe autumn. But we want to have something that is more general, so we're going to scrap this. In the same conversation, in the same breath, something like this would also not work. Similar to the same issue we just had. Pikachu's ears are too big, it's not going to go on it. So we're going to scrap this one as well. Now, we can go for something more cultural as well. So this is the Orberg City cap. You can put this on the Pikachu, and here you can see it actually looks great on the Pikachu. But there is an issue. You don't want to put a cap that is cultural on the Pikachu because we are trying to make something that is more general. If this is bound to cultural stuff, then we won't be accomplishing the goal, which is to wear this cap anytime, anywhere, any place, any time of the year, any occasion. So that's why we're going to have to scrap this as well. You can try and make your Pikachu look more smarter by using something like a band to put around the Pikachu's head. Just put this across the ears and push it down and just pull it like this. A little bit more, and then just pull it like this. There we go. Nice. And that is going to make your Pikachu look far more athletic than it usually is. I think this Pikachu, if you can look at it, this would go great with this Pikachu, but my suggestion here again is we want to have something that is general. If you put something like this on your Pikachu, it kind of gives a bit of a sporty vibe, a bit of an exercise vibe, a more of a physicality kind of vibe, which I don't think you want. So we're going to take this off the Pikachu. Now how about we try something like a tie. So let's try putting a tie around the Pikachu. There we go. There we go. Okay, there we are. If you can see, here's the tie on the Pikachu. Now this would actually go great if this Pikachu was a businessman. But this Pikachu is not a businessman, and this would also be a little bit too formal. So this is not something you can wear anytime, any place, anywhere. But rather, I think if you wear this to maybe a restaurant, maybe you wear this to a mall, people are going to think you're pretty weird for dressing up your Pikachu with a suit and tie. So this is not going to work. So we take this off again. Now, what else can we try? How about we do this? This is actually a pretty popular hat. we have, this is called the artist hat. And this is not just any artist hat, this is the artist hat that you are awarded when you become one of the top 5% of artists in the Sinnoh region. That's when you get this red artist hat. There's different colors. It starts with blue, then it goes green, then it goes to yellow, then it goes to orange, and then it goes to red. Red is the highest level of cap you can get as an artist, which shows that you're the top 5% of artists in the Sinnoh region. How about we put this on the Pikachu, like this, and then take a look and see what you think. Looks great, doesn't it? I mean, I really dig how this Pikachu looks now. How about we try with this artist cap? At the end of the day, of course, you know, if you want to have something general, I think this is still fine to put on your Pikachu. It has a general vibe to it. Even if you see someone wearing an artist hat in maybe like a museum, at a restaurant, people think they're trying to be more trendy, not that they're actually an artist. So I think we can keep that. You know what? That is amazing. But I just got an idea. I have with me this wig right over here. Let me put this on the Pikachu. You know what I'm gonna call this? I'm gonna call this Hatsune Piku. You don't get it? Ah, that's too bad. Well, well, it certainly is interesting to say the least, but I think in this case we should much rather just use the artist hat, because I think this is more general. This is gonna look very odd, to say the least, in certain occasions, and also this has a very reminiscent color to Team Galactic, so I'm not sure if you would want to put something like that on your Pikachu. Well, that's because this wig was originally white, but then I accidentally washed my clothes with this wig, and this teal color got on the wig, so it's supposed to be white. Now it's teal because I washed it with colored clothes. You know, I'm kinda surprised. Knowing how trendy and fashionable you are, I would not expect someone like you to make a mistake like this, of putting your white wig with other clothes and accidentally getting the color on your wig. But anyways, we have the artist hat on for Pikachu. Let's put something else on this Pikachu then. Okay, now that we have the artist hat decided on, let's try to put something around the neck. We can try a lot of different things. So we tried the tie. The tie didn't look nice. You can try a normal muffler, but there's the same issue with normal mufflers. It's the fact that if you put a normal muffler on, your Pikachu is gonna end up looking more, it's seasonal, in the sense that it has a autumn or a winter kind of vibe to it, which is why I want to try something more bold, something that is more interesting. I have this piece of cloth, and I got this during my travels in the Unova region. How about we try this on the Pikachu? It's a bit of a, it is a little bit different from what we are used to, but I think it's gonna look really nice. It's one of those things that makes people look to see what this Pokemon is actually wearing, which I think it's gonna make this Pikachu looks very trendy and very cool. So let me put this around this Pikachu. And then if I raise this is what he looks like now. Which I think is very good, right? Now, you can wear this anywhere you want, and nobody's gonna bat an eye. This Pikachu can be wearing this at a Pokemon contest, when you're at the restaurant, whether you're at a baseball game. You can be anywhere, and even then, this dress would look trendy and cool. It doesn't have any specificity to any specific cultural dress, any seasonal dress, any occasion dress. It's just a general dress you can wear anywhere you want on this Pikachu, right? I think this This dress makes the Pikachu look totally trendy and cool. What do you guys think? Amazing. That is truly impeccable. I've never seen a Pikachu that looks this stylish and this trendy. It's crazy. Are you impressed by this? Well, I hope you're taking notes, because I really expect you to be more fashionable after this whole demonstration is over. But this is crazy. This is amazing. Oh, thank you. This is what the Pikachu looks like in all its might and glory. Here's from his side, here's from this side. Now the good thing about this Pikachu is that this Pikachu looks very much like, regardless of what the weather is, regardless of what the occasion is, this Pikachu is going to look trendy no matter what. And that's the main point of dressing up the Pikachu with these kind of clothes. Thank you so much for attending today's session. If you don't mind, I have a little bit of a present for you guys. Here we go. Here I have 2 Pokemon stickers. Now, what these stickers are for is that you can put them on your Pokeball and each one's going to have a different effect. That's the main goal with these stickers. I'll give one to you, and I'll give one to you. Now, if you put them on your Pokeball, you'll see some very cool effects. So how about you try it out? How about you try it out? I'd love to see how this sticker works on a Pokeball. Awesome. Oh, and one more thing. Here I have my favorite Pokemon from the Hoenn region, Marshtomp. If you want, you can keep this as a souvenir from me. And remember how I said that this was from Unova region? I have Panpour, which I will give to you. Okay, thank you so much for coming in. I gotta go. You have a Pokemon contest later today at 9 p.m. and I have to prepare for that. But thank you so much for coming in. Thanks. So, what do you think? Did you enjoy the demonstration? Great. It's very important that you start taking yourself seriously. You're a pretty decent trainer. I would say you're not bad. But you have to start taking yourself more seriously and dress appropriately. How you see yourself and how you conduct yourself is how people respect you, and at this point, even though you're a capable trainer, nobody's going to take you seriously if you keep this goofball appearance of yours. Anyways, I also noticed it seems like you finally managed to dissolve the distress that your Turtwig was in. When you were testing out the sticker on your Pokeball, I noticed it wasn't Turtwig that came out, it was Grottle, and it seemed to be in a pretty good mood, pretty relaxed. It was a stark day and night comparison. You could make a complete total 180, a total difference in how your Turtwig, now Grottle, is behaving. So it seems like you managed to pinpoint the reason it was stressed. I knew the reason when we met the other day, but I didn't want to tell you because at the end of the day, it is your job as a trainer to figure out what your Pokemon is struggling with. If you have a good enough bond, you will always know. It seems like you figured out it was the fact that it didn't want to evolve, or it wasn't sure if it should evolve. So it looks like you finally managed to resolve the limbo that your Turtwig was stuck in, which is great. But I tell you what, once I get myself a legendary Pokemon, I'm going to be sure to follow everything that this person taught us in demonstration. I'm going to have the trendiest and the strongest legendary Pokemon of all time. I'm not sure which legendary Pokemon, but I'm going to have one day. And just you wait. The different dresses and attires I'm going to make that legendary Pokemon wear is going to be amazing to behold. By the way, are you going to try and challenge the gym leader of this city, or no? No? Well, it's up to you if you want to try, but it is pretty demoralizing to lose in such a convincing fashion, so I think I'm just going to keep on going ahead. My goal is to go to Veilstone City, but not for any specific reasons, and even if I did, I would not really tell you. I do want to go to the lake that comes right after Veilstone City. That's where I have something to do. Something important, because it has something to do with the legendary Pokemon. There's rumors that there's a legendary Pokemon that lives in each lake that is somehow connected to the legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh. And that's what I'm going to go and investigate. If you want to, you can continue going to Veilstone City too. It's, from what I hear, there's a gym over there. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But I think for now this is pretty good enough. And honestly, seeing you 2 days in a row is starting to make me feel pretty burned out. I feel like I'm starting to lose my drip and my fashion and my trendiness by being around you this much. So I'm gonna go as well. Maybe I'll catch you somewhere else down the road. See ya. Can I help you with anything? I noticed you've been staring at me for quite a while now. Can I teach you how to fish? You know what? Sorry, but I don't really do lessons. I don't teach, so you're gonna have to forgive me for that. Is that okay? Yeah, sorry. Wait, is that a Pokedex? Are you a Pokemon trainer? You are. You should have told me that sooner. My apologies. And also, I have to say, I apologize for not accepting your the offer earlier, because a lot of people think that fishing is a meaningless hobby that people have. We just sit at the same spot the whole day, do nothing, and then go back home. And that's just a very incorrect view on fishing. It's a pretty difficult thing to do. You gotta be really patient. You gotta be on top of your game. You gotta really be paying attention, because the moment you get a bite, you have to start reeling it in and pushing back. Otherwise, you just lose whatever you caught. So I think actually fishing is one of the harder things. But people come through and they make fun of my profession. I've been doing it for 28 years now. Yes, I've been doing it for that long. I may not look like 45, but I am 45. And I look young because I do what I love, which is fishing. That's why I look so young. But anyways, I have good reason to assume that you are not one of those people, and you're genuinely interested in learning how to fish. You're a Pokemon trainer. You were staring at me for a really long time. I see that glow in your eyes. You're really intent on learning, so I don't mind. I can indulge you. That's okay. A little bit of an introduction about myself. My name is Mike. I've been fishing for a really long time, and not only in Sinnoh. I've been all over the place. So I've been in Kanto, I've been in Johto, I've been in Unova region as well. I've been to a lot of different places. I've also been to Hoenn as well. And now I'm in Sinnoh. I've been here for about a year. I've been fishing. The most interesting catch I've had, and you may not believe it, but it was actually a sea king. Very interesting catch. But I've had my fair share of bizarre catches as well. For example, the most bizarre thing that I've ever caught was actually a salvaged bicycle. Yes, it was in the Hoenn region. I was catching, normal day. I collect my bait, I take all my fishing rods, and I go to the side of the sea. I throw my my bait and my fishing rod, and I sit down, I wait, and then I get a pull. So I start pulling it back in, reeling it back in, and I notice that it's not resisting. So I'm like, what is this Pokemon, right? And it turns out it was actually a bike that looked like it had been, shocked or electrocuted. Now, my guess is it was probably a Pikachu that electrocuted it, and then it was tossed in the sea. So I don't know whose bike it is. I don't know how it got there, but it was a very heavily damaged from electric shock, a bike just in the middle of the sea with all weeds on top of it and stuff. I had to pull it, clean that up, and then I took it to a salvage shop where I sold it for 5,000 Pokedollars. That was the best thing I ever did in my life. But trust me, I don't usually sell catches. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I know there's people that catch Pokemon from the sea and then try to sell it to people, which I think is pretty dangerous, because this can turn into a business, and of course you don't want to disrupt the Pokemon ecosystem of the sea by catching too many Pokemon. Everybody should catch the Pokemon that they want and go on with their life. But if you let fishermen catch it and then sell it to you, I think that's just a recipe for disaster. I'll give you one example. I saw this one guy right outside of Mount Moon, in the Kanto region. He was selling a Magikarp for 500 Pokedollars. Now, that's great. Anybody coming through can buy a Magikarp, but you gotta think of it from the long-term perspective. If you catch a fish Pokemon, a water Pokemon, and you start selling it, then you're gonna run out of Magikarps, right? Because everybody's gonna try and catch it so that they can sell it to someone else for 500. It's gonna become a problem, and the whole ecosystem of the Pokemon Sea is gonna get ruined. So I really don't support that. But that bike, it's just a bike, and I don't know who it belongs to. It was pretty damaged as well. 5,000 Pokedollars, best thing I ever caught. Otherwise, I keep all the other fish Pokemon to myself. They're just part of my team now. So there's one in Unova too. I'm against it, but you can't really do much about it, right? Now I want to ask you something. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm actually curious, because you're a Pokemon trainer, right? Okay, you have 2 gym badges and now you're just going across to Veilstone City? I see. You might not know this, but Seacian Town comes first from before you get to Veilstone City. I'm curious, what is your Pokemon team like? I see. So you don't have a water type Pokemon, and I think a water type Pokemon would do great on your team, right? Yeah, wonderful. Okay, looks like I am the right guy for the right job. You're at the right place at the right time, talking to the right person. That's what I'll tell you. A quick question. You said you have 2 gym badges. Did you get the Heart Home City gym? Because that gym is tough. Because I live in Heart Home City. I do my daily catchings. I go back to Heart Home City. You didn't? Okay. Yeah. That gym is tough. And the guy who runs it is pretty mentally tough as well. So I would have been very surprised if you managed to beat him with this team. Because I was like, this team I don't think is strong enough to beat him. But that makes sense. So in that case, how about I teach you how to fish? So I have here with me the good rod right here. There's a lot of different rods. This one is, as the name suggests, good. You can get some pretty good Pokemon using this. The trick is you gotta throw it as far as you can, then you wait. And then the moment you get a pull, you just gotta reel it back in. There are more mechanical ones where you can rotate it back. This is a pretty basic one since it's a good rod. So you just gotta pull it back, and hopefully you'll catch something good. That's the whole art of fishing. A lot of patience, and hopefully you get something good at the end of it. That's the 101 of fishing. So okay, so how about you try it out? Here, take this rod, and what I want you to do now is throw it into the ocean, and then let's see what you find, and then let's go from there. Get ready. Okay, now reel it in. You were a little bit slow. The moment you get a bite, you gotta start reeling it back in immediately. Try again. That's surprising. Looks like you're not getting a bite. Try again. Fishing is all about patience. Okay. Reel it in, right now. Yes, great job. A Magikarp. Well, it is a pretty common Pokemon. Not to say it's a bad Pokemon. Just throw a Pokeball at it. It's not a strong Pokemon. You should catch it very easily. 1, 2. Oh. Wait, it knows tackle? That's surprising. Well, try weakening it a little bit and then throw the Pokeball. The fact that this Magikarp knows tackle, it makes it stronger than 90% of Magikarps you'll see. Throw the Pokeball now. Alright, let's see. Wow. This Magikarp is feisty. I would say then try and weaken it a little bit more. Okay. Alright, try throwing a Pokeball again. I would be very surprised if it gets out of the ball again. It looks pretty weakened to me. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Awesome. Congratulations on your Magikarp. This seems like a pretty strong and capable Magikarp, if I'm being honest. You'll notice that your Pokedex is also registering this Pokemon. And if you look closely, it says that it's the world's weakest Pokemon on your Pokedex. It's because this is actually a pretty weak Pokemon, but with a very strong evolution. Bravo, bravo. So you got yourself a Magikarp. That's amazing. May I have the rod back for a second? Cool. See, this is a good rod, so it's a good thing you got a Magikarp, because if it was something bigger, this rod might have broken itself off because it just doesn't have the strength to pull back. Now you might be thinking, well, Magikarp is useless, and you're right. It is useless, but not entirely. Magikarp is known to be, a useless Pokemon, but with an untapped potential. If you manage to evolve your Magikarp into Gyarados, now Gyarados is something you really got to be careful of. It's one of the strongest water-type Pokemon, and it's part flying too, which is even more interesting. But Gyarados is no joke. I tell you, it's a very strong Pokemon. So keep it in your team. That's what I would suggest. You have the benefit that you can just let your Magikarp watch the battles like your other Pokemon are doing. You can get some battle experience that way as well. And then if it gets enough battle experience, maybe it'll evolve. But it all depends on your Pokemon, of course. But Magikarp, don't take it lightly. It's a good Pokemon. And if it doesn't evolve and you want to swap it and send this back to whoever your professor is, then that's okay as well. You can do that as well. But you know what I will tell you is you can keep this good rod. I have Super Rod. I have a lot of different Pokemon rods that I can just use, so you can keep this one. That's okay. This is my present from me to you. Just a good rod. Seeing you all happy and giddy, catching a Magikarp, has made me really happy. It's made my day, actually. And I'm so happy there's someone out there that appreciates fishing like I do. I really mean it. It really reminds me of that saying, actually. It says, you give a man a Magikarp and he'll put it in his box. But if you teach a man how to fish, he'll have infinite Gyarados. Or something like that. I think that's how it goes. But that's very true. So I can't wait to see if you catch anything else from the ocean. This ocean is huge, so you can find a lot of different Pokemon. But I think for your team, if you want to be stronger, Magikarp is the best way to go. Of course, if it manages to evolve into Gyarados. It's always going to be a gamble, but sometimes you just got to take some risks in life. So I am really grateful I stopped and gave you a chance and I talked to you. You are a pretty good person and good luck on your journey, but just keep going forward. I think you'll get to Seacian Town by the end of today, for sure. And if you do, please feel free to check out the cafe that is just at the exit of outskirts of Seacian Town. It's very nice. And then there's also some unknown ruins. There's some ruins as well that you can go to. So if you'd like, feel free to check those out as well. But congratulations, you got your 4th Pokemon, a water type. Now you have a grass type, you have a fighting type, a normal type, and a water type as well. So that's wonderful, and a flying type. So very exciting. Let's see where we go from here, right? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, and I'll just get back to fishing as I always do. I see. Interesting. Ah, it's you. Wait a minute. It's you. What a surprise. What are you doing here? Can I shake your hand? It's been such a long time. So great to see you. I didn't think I would run into you here. You do know Sinju, this part, Seacian Ruins, is off limits for normal people, right? I'm here on a permit. You might get in trouble. Don't worry, you can stay. If somebody comes in to check, I'll just say you're my assistant helping me out. How are you? Great. You know, I didn't think you would be here this early. It seems like your journey is going pretty great. Yeah, I'll be honest, I should try to keep up with you more, but I really didn't know how to contact you. I didn't have your Pokedex. You did get a Pokedex, right? You did? Okay, great. Wonderful, wonderful. What was I doing here? Well, as a Pokemon researcher, my job is to always keep researching and learning new things, right? So this Seacian Ruins, we don't really know what these are for, but I'm trying to uncover more about what these ruins were supposed to be, and the whole mystery surrounding it. Do you know the mystery? It's the mystery of Unknown. It's a Pokemon that resides only in this ruin. It's such a weird Pokemon, and you can actually see some flying around you as well. These Pokemon are really bizarre because these Pokemon are usually alphabetic in shape. It's said that they change shape depending on, what the alphabets are normally in languages. So we haven't really seen Unknowns change shape. We haven't seen cases of that, but the old myth says that they change shape. And what's also weird about Unknowns is that they tend to be always in places that have mysterious energies that are linked to the legendary Pokemon. I'll give you an example. In the Sinjo Ruins, Sinjo Ruins in the Johto region have been said to have a really mysterious energy. People really feel off when they're in the Sinjo Ruins, and if I'm being honest with you, that whole place is filled with Unknowns. And the funny thing is that's the only place where you can find Unknowns as well in the Johto region, so that's even more bizarre. And even here in the Seacian Ruins you can find Unknowns, so I'm not sure if this has any connection with the legendary Pokemon, but I'll just say there's a very strong coincidence that every time there's unknown energy and forces, an Unknown finds itself here. All this research is on the back of this really weird journal I found. It seems to be about 300 to 400 years old. The pages are really dated. They've taken a beating, but it's still kind of readable, so it's not that bad. But what's interesting about Unknowns is that, remember how I said they are based off of alphabetical alphabets? Well, take a look at this. Do you see it? You'll see that each Unknown has a shape that corresponds to an alphabet in our language. And it's so fascinating to see that you can actually use Unknowns to write sentences as well. Let's actually do a quick exercise. Let's look at Unknowns around us and try to identify which one is which, right? Alright, let's see. Okay, you might notice that there's actually quite a few Unknowns that are just floating around in this room. Let's try to go through each one of these and characterize which alphabet they relate to. We had this really trusty chart in our notebook that defined which alphabet relates to which unknown. Let's try to go through each one. What about the one at the top left? What do you think this one relates to? An O? An H? Yes, you are correct. O is a pretty close guess, but you'll notice that between the O and the H, is just circular, but H has two endpoints at the top and at the bottom, so H seems to be the correct answer here. What about the one right under it? A W? Well, you're close. You'll notice that if you look at the W more closely, it's supposed to have nothing on the opposite side of where the three prongs appear. This one has a pointy end on the other side. And if you look at the same chart, you'll notice that the character E has that pointy end on the other side of the prongs. So this is actually an E. The one right above it, it's actually a shiny unknown. And shiny unknowns tend to be blue in color. It's quite a rare occurrence to see unknowns and then to see a shiny one, so it seems like even the shiny unknown wants to be a part of the action and part of this exercise. What do you think this unknown relates to which alphabet? Yeah, an L. You're exactly right. And then I'll help you out. The last one is simple. It's just a P. Pretty interesting, right? We saw different unknown, and all of them have different alphabets that they take their design off of. And that's the cool thing about unknowns. It's theorized that if our alphabets were different, these unknowns would also change their shape to accommodate for that. But I guess that's all that I have right now. We don't see any other unknowns here in this room, so I guess that calls it for our... Wait. Oh, I see two more unknowns. What joy, and looks like they're different from the previous ones. Okay, what about the first one on the left? What do you think this one relates to? A U? Yeah, seems like a U for sure. It does look a little bit like an E too, but you'll notice that it's not really the same. There's differences. It looks a little bit like D as well, but it definitely is a U, I agree. What about the one on the right? What do you think that one is? An N, huh? Well, you're close, but not quite. You'll notice that for N, the shape is kind of more, the sides or the arms that you'd call, they're more straight. In this one, they're a little bit more curved, and that's how you distinguish between an S and an N. So it looks like this is an S actually. Pretty cool. Some say that unknowns are smart enough to actually convey a message to us, but in this case I think these characters that we saw were kind of random, so not sure if that theory is true or not, but at least you got to see 6 different unknowns, and one of them was a shiny, so quite a lucky day for you. But did you enjoy this exercise? Now you're a little bit more familiar with unknowns and how they're related to alphabets. Okay, I'm sure that was interesting for you, wasn't it? Yeah, I could see that you were very impressed with how there's one Pokemon and it has so many different shapes. You'll notice all the shapes correspond to all the alphabets that we have. That's very interesting, but I noticed that you're kind of tempted to catch an unknown now. But if I'm being honest, being your professor, I want what's best, and I know you're trying to become the strongest trainer. Don't catch an unknown. I know it's really tempting. This Pokemon is cool, this Pokemon is mysterious, but this Pokemon is not great for battling. It can't evolve. This is the only form it has, and it can only learn one move, which is Hidden Power. You can think of it like the default applications you get on your Pokedex. Unknown comes with Hidden Power. That's the only thing it can use, nothing else at all. You're much better off catching a Bidoof that evolves into a Bibarel. At least you can teach it some moves, make some use out of it, but unknowns, they're just cool to have around, but nothing else outside of it. So my suggestion is, when you see an unknown, just smile and wave, and admire how cool they are, admire the mystery that surrounds them, and just go about your way. And in the meantime, Pokemon professors and researchers like me are going to try and figure out what exactly is the origin of these Pokemon. There are some people that actually collect unknowns, all these alphabets. You can think of it as a hobby of sorts. You can do it, but I mean, for you, it's not worth your time. I can tell you I'm not going to give you any rewards for doing that, so don't do it. I don't want to see 26, 28 unknowns right in front of me in the Pokemon box that I have to take care of because you caught so many. So don't do it, okay? And by the way, there is one more thing that is actually quite interesting. Everything that I've told you so far has come from this notebook, which I told you previously was 300 to 400 years old. I just found it while excavating. There is one more thing that the author of this notebook, and I'm not sure who the author is right now, they left behind this drawing right over here. And I don't know if it's a drawing, if it's a map, if it's a code of some sort, but I feel like if I figure out what this code is or what to do with it, maybe I can figure out the mystery of the unknown. Maybe the person who wrote this knew something more detailed that they felt uncomfortable writing on this notebook, so they left some sort of a hint for us. Now, I don't know what this means right now, but you know the rules and so do I. I gotta just go back and figure out what this means as a Pokemon researcher. This is gonna be very important for me to understand and see what I can do with this. But if you do figure out something, what this could mean, then do let me know. Because I am pretty curious of solving this whole mystery of the Seacian ruins. What was this for, you know? Oh yeah, behind me? Yeah, you might have noticed the text behind me. Did you try reading it? Yeah, you might have realized that it doesn't match with the alphabet and the unknown set that I just showed you earlier. And that's because, remember how I told you unknown changed their shape in accordance to how the alphabets are? This is actually an example of that. That is the reason we believe that unknowns change their shape depending on what the alphabets are. How do they figure out what the alphabets are and how they've changed? We don't know, but this supports that really strongly because these are proto-unknown, unknown that existed in the really ancient Sinnoh civilizations when the ancient Sinnoh dwellers used to speak in a different language. The unknowns changed their shape to accommodate for their alphabets, and they wrote something back on the wall that actually we do know the translation for. I don't know who actually decoded what it meant, but last time I was here with Professor Rowan, and he told me it meant all lives touch other lives to create something new and alive. So it's a pretty poetic statement that we have received from ancient Sinnoh civilizations, and it's quite a reflective statement as well. You really do affect one another in ways we don't realize. And if you affect others in a positive and a good way, you really are creating something new and something alive. So a good lesson for us to learn from this, right? Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm sorry. Whenever I'm doing research, I get really lost in the whole conversation, so I just went on this whole exploration on how the whole Sinnoh ruins and telling you all about it. But I hope it wasn't too boring for you. I'm going to keep this notebook and try to figure out if I can find something more out of it. But I would hate to say goodbye here. I have an idea. How about we meet at the cafe right at the outskirts of Seacian town? Just go north. You will see a cafe. How about we meet there? I think that is a pretty good spot. I've heard the food is really good too. So how about we try meeting there? Great, okay. Then I'll leave first. You can explore if you want to, and then I'll see you over there, okay? Don't be late. We're having dinner. Okay, alright. See you there. And if you don't mind me asking, how long is our order going to take? 15 to 20 minutes? Okay, thanks. Alright, looks like our order is going to take 15 to 20 minutes to arrive. Tell you what, I am starving. And I feel so tired. It's nothing like relaxing after a good long, hard day of work. All my muscles are so stiff. And it's because I don't do this quite often. I like to read books, write research papers, but Professor Rovin told me that the best thing that I can do sometimes is go and look at the Pokemon up close and observe their normal behaviors in their natural habitats. So I started going to all the places that I've always wanted to go to. And that's how we met at the Seacian ruins. Yeah, but that does mean that I've not kept in touch with you all that much, and as your Pokemon professor, it is my responsibility to make sure you have a smooth journey. I do apologize for that, and I hope I can make up for it tonight. Yep. Tell you what, I have a question. Have you noticed the night sky recently? There's so many occurrences of aurora lights these days, right? These nights are intense, not generally speaking, but in terms of aurora lights too, the frequency is intense, the intensity is intense as well. There's a legend that says that whenever Dialga is in the skies of Sinnoh, the aurora light activity increases. And it's actually more than a legend, it's actually true. We have observed electromagnetic activity increasing whenever Dialga is in our atmosphere, and that causes an increase in aurora lights, of course. Last time we saw Dialga actually was 3 years ago at the top of Mount Coronet, and it was when Team Galactic was trying to destroy Sinnoh, so not good. But we were saved by the trainer, the same trainer actually that was Professor Rovin's trainer 3 years ago. And ever since then we haven't seen Dialga at all, so I'm a little bit concerned. I hope I'm just overthinking it and just imagining it in my head, but I do feel a little bit concerned over why it's back again. But I hope Dialga's gonna go away soon, and I'm just overthinking it in my mind. I need a sip. Tell you what, while we're here, how about I look at your Pokedex and also the Pokemon that you've caught. Let's see your progress. Yeah? Okay, let's take a look at your Pokedex. Alright. Let's start by looking at your Pokedex. If you look at the very top, you'll notice that it says 6 and 46. The 6 corresponds to how many Pokemon you've caught, and the 46 corresponds to how many Pokemon you have seen. If you're confused by the 6, I'll just tell you that even though you have 4 Pokemon, your Turtwig and your Starly evolved, so they count as 2 different Pokemon, Grotle and Staravia, that you've caught, and that's how you get the number 6. I would recommend that you try catching more Pokemon and diversify your Pokemon options. Even if you don't plan on using them, you can just put them in the box and they'll get transferred over to me and I can take care of them. But considering you're at the early middle part of your journey, this amount of progress on the Pokédex is not bad at all. I think it's pretty decent. Now let's look at the Pokemon that you have. Ah, that is so great to see. Your Turtwig has evolved into Grotle. You know, the first time I saw you guys at the Pokemon Lab back in Sanjam Town, I knew you guys had a special bond. And it's great to see that this Grotle is doing great with you. Magikarp. Quite interesting. If this Pokemon evolves, it's a very strong one to have on your team, but if it doesn't, then you're stuck with a Magikarp. So tread very wisely. Alright, I am not surprised by this one. Staravia is the bread and butter of every person's team. There's something I'm going to give you after we look at your Pokemon that might be beneficial to you and Staravia both. And your final Pokemon is a Buneri. That is so fascinating for me to see. I really was expecting that you would have a Shinx or a Luxio on your team. A lot of the trainers that are as far along in their Pokemon journey as you are tend to usually have a Shinx or a Luxio, but it seems like you didn't find that Pokemon too favorable to have on your team, which is totally okay. You have some really interesting Pokemon on your team like the Magikarp and the Baneri. I don't see that quite often in a lot of trainers' team. But if I take a step back and look at your whole Pokemon team holistically, there's a few things that I can recommend to you, and take this as advice from your Pokemon professor. I am your coach after all, and I would like to see you succeed. You have a grass type in the form of your Torterra, right? And then the other thing is you also have a Lopunny, which you would get from Buneri in the future. Both of these Pokemon are going to be very weak to flying type. So 2 of your Pokemon are going to be very vulnerable to flying type. So I would just say that make sure you account for that by other Pokemon that you have in your team. Having a Gyarados when your Magikarp evolves would be a great answer to flying type, but just keep that in the back of your mind. Talking about the Gyarados, once your Magikarp evolves, and I hope it does because, trust me, you don't want to end up with a Magikarp later down in your journey. But if you have a Gyarados which is flying type and water type, and you also have a Staraptor which is flying type and normal type, those 2 are also going to be very weak to electric type Pokemon. In fact, since your Gyarados is water type and flying type, it's going to be 4 times weak to electric type Pokemon. So that's another thing that you should keep in your mind. Once your Growlithe evolves into Torterra, it becomes part ground type, so it might be able to answer a little bit of the problem against electric type Pokemon, but I would still recommend keeping that in your mind as you build your team further in your journey. Then finally, one final thing I would tell you is, if you find a dragon type Pokemon, do not even think twice about it. Just seize the opportunity and catch that Pokemon, because dragon types are really great to have. They are strong against mostly every single type that there is, except for dragon type itself, ice type, and fairy types. So look out for dragon types too. But overall, right now your team is looking good. Just keep what I've said in mind. That is an impressive amount of progress you've made so far. Amazing. Wonderful. If you don't mind, I would like to reward you for this amazing progress you've made. I have here with me HM Fly. Using this, you can fly to any place that you've been to already. It can be a little bit cumbersome to travel by foot to places you've already been to. Maybe you want to go back to Twin Leaf Town to visit your mom, or maybe you want to go somewhere else. Using this HM Fly, you can just get there in a matter of minutes. So I'll give this to you. Great job. And another thing I'll say is keep up the good work. If you have really good progress again, next time we meet, I'll give you another reward. Yeah. I'm also happy to see your Turtwig has evolved. Seems like you guys have a good bond, and I hope it's that the Turtwig's not giving you too much trouble. Yeah. Let me share with you some Pokemon catching tips, right? And you have 4 Pokemon already, but there are some superstitions around catching Pokemon, so take it with a grain of salt, and do it only if you really feel desperate enough to try these things. There is a superstition that says, if you throw your Pokeball and you're having a hard time catching a Pokemon, right after you throw a Pokeball, just pretend like you don't care. Look elsewhere. Like this. Just pretend like you care about everything in the world except for that Pokemon. Just look away. And people say it works. You have a better chance of catching a Pokemon if you pretend not to care right after throwing the Pokeball. Again, just a superstition, but maybe it'll come in handy. There's another superstition too, which says, right after you throw a Pokeball, just push yourself down, apply your entire force downwards, and it gets transferred over to the Pokeball. So the Pokemon has a hard time getting out of the ball, breaking out, because the Pokeball is also pushing down, because you are pushing down. It's another one of those superstitions, but I thought I'll share it with you. For being a professor, I know my fair bit of superstitions, and let me tell you, the way I got my Poochyena in the Hoenn region, it was all thanks to actually pushing myself down. Because I really wanted that Poochyena, and I already wasted through 4 Pokeballs. I threw another one, and I pushed down, and I caught it. So it seems like there is some truth to it. One more thing that I noticed is you have a Buneri on your team. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but your Buneri is not gonna evolve all that easily. It's one of those rare Pokemon that evolves based on friendship. So you need to have really good friendship with your Buneri in order to make it evolve. Now, how can you increase friendship with your Buneri? You are asking the right person. There's a couple of things that you can do. The first thing that you can do is make sure whenever you use Buneri in battles, that Buneri doesn't faint, okay? So Buneri must not faint, but that does not mean that you also just avoid using Buneri in battles. It needs to battle, but it needs to not faint as well, right? That's the first thing. The other thing is, don't give your Buneri herbal medicine. You know, herbs tend to be a little bit bitter, and that will decrease your friendship with your Buneri. There's some other things too, and we are actually in the perfect place right now because Cafe Cabin has one item called as Moo Milk. I didn't think you would need this, so I just got one myself. They used to actually give out unlimited, but they said that there was a trainer 3 years ago that came across and bought 100 bottles of Moo Milk, and they had to shut down their business for 30 days because they had no backlog on the Moo Milk productions. So now they just give one Moo Milk bottle for one table. I didn't think you would need it, so I just got it for myself, but it seems like you actually do need it. So I'm just gonna put it over here, but before you leave, take this with you. Give a little bit of this Moo Milk to your Buneri every single day, and the friendship with your Buneri is gonna go up because it's a really sweet milk. It comes from milk tanks. So that's another thing that you can do. As for who the trainer was 3 years ago, no, I think I have my guess, and I think you have your guess too. One final thing that you can do, in my opinion, is if you know Heart Home City, there's actually Pal Park in Heart Home City. In Pal Park, you can take your Pokemon out of your Pokeball and just walk around with them. That also tends to increase their friendship. So you can try doing that too, and since I just gave you Fly, maybe you can just fly back to Heart Home City and do that. If you do all these things, your Buneri is going to evolve. Because, let me tell you something, as you start getting stronger and challenging harder and harder gym leaders, it's really important that your Pokemon are fully evolved. So make sure you take care of this, right? And then as for Magikarp, I don't know how you're going to train it, but Magikarp is one of those Pokemon that is a hit or a miss. If it evolves, it's an absolute monster. And if it doesn't, then, well, you have a Magikarp on your hand. So I can't give you any more advice outside of that for the Magikarp. But for Buneri, keep that in your mind. I was also kind of surprised that you don't have a Bidoof on your team. It's like a rite of passage for trainers. The first thing they do when they start their adventure is catch a Bidoof, but it seems like you didn't catch one. That was kind of surprising to me as well. So overall, I would say great progress, and keep what I've said in mind and you will go far. I have a picture with me right now. This is that Pokemon right here, and then here are some things that they thought that Pokemon did and called them specific names, but the picture is right here. No, you can't have this. What are you, getting used to getting free stuff or something? I'm not giving this to you at all. You'd like to ask me about a Pokemon? Yeah, go for it. Oh, you don't know much about it? Well, do you have an image of that Pokemon? No? Well, can you draw it then? Remember the journal I gave you at the start of your journey? Maybe you can draw it on that journal, right? Okay, yeah, give it a try. Oh, you have the drawing ready? Yeah, let me see. I have to say you have really great drawing skills. Seems like you've taken some classes on artistry. But this looks like no Pokemon that I've ever seen before. Oh, you want to change something on the drawing? Yeah, sure. Take it. Change whatever you want. Okay, you're done? Okay. No. That can't be. Is that Giratina? That's impossible. How would someone know of Giratina's existence? This Pokemon is called Giratina. It appeared 3 years ago as well at the top of Mount Coronet, but this Pokemon lives in another dimension. Not a lot of people know of this. I think in the current landscape of the people that live in Sinnoh, it's only a handful of people that know about this Pokemon. I think people that were at the top of Mount Coronet when the whole thing happened, I think they might be the only ones that know of this Pokemon. The way I found out was Professor Rowan showed me photos of this Pokemon when we were doing our research work. But to think that someone knows about this Pokemon, just a random trainer, that is bizarre. If you don't mind me asking, could you describe the trainer to me? Red glasses and a black suit? Well, that is... that's funny. I was at the Lost Tower before I came to Seacian Ruins. Do you know the Lost Tower? No? Well, you wouldn't, because it's a place that comes just before Seacian Town. Many Pokemon are laid to rest there after they pass away. So someone like you would have no reason to go there. But I was doing some research on a Pokemon called Spiritomb and trying to see if it has any connection with the Lost Tower. And at the Lost Tower I saw a trainer with red glasses and a black suit. And the reason I remember that is it was a really peculiar dress, a very distinct dress from everybody else. And I ran into that person. It seems really bizarre to me that they would know about this Pokemon. You know what? Keep an eye on this person the next time you see them. And if something feels unusual, just let me know. I have a really bad feeling. But maybe it's just me overreacting in my mind. I get nervous very easily. I was nervous about Dialga as well, so maybe I'm overthinking it, but just keep an eye. And if you see anything unusual, then do let me know. And that reminds me, I think I should take your Pokedex number, because I haven't taken your Pokedex number yet, right? Yeah, give me your Pokedex number so that we can stay in touch. Yeah, I hope everything's alright, and I'm just worrying for nothing. Oh, looks like our order's coming in as well. Alright, let's have dinner. The dinner's on me. And then give me your Pokedex number right after this, okay? But great job, I have to say. Great job so far. You've done a wonderful job. You have a great team on your hands. And your Pokedex is looking good too. The next time we meet, make sure you do more progress and I'll give you even more rewards, okay? Alright, yep. Bring it over. You're here. Interesting. You know, I was expecting you to show up here sooner or later. How did I know you were coming? Well, as a fighting type gym leader, I am able to sense and detect people's auras. I knew a formidable trainer had entered this city just a few minutes ago, so I knew you would show up here eventually, but I didn't think it would happen this quickly. My name is Mojo Dojo. I am the gym leader of this place, but outside of being a gym leader, I'm also the mayor of this place. Can you answer a question for me? It seems like you came rushing to the gym. That means you haven't had the chance to explore this city, right? Well, as the mayor of this city, I think I should throw you a pitch so that you go and explore all the wonderful places that this city has, and maybe we can earn some money off of tourism from you. we have visited us the wonderful department store. In this department store, you can find all the things that you can ever imagine. This is a very premium department store, and in this store you can find all kinds of exotic things that you will never be able to find anywhere else in the entirety of Sinnoh. This Veilstone city is a big metropolis, probably the biggest city in the entirety of Sinnoh. So we're always trying to make everything bigger and better, and that means that instead of the Pokemart, we built the department store. I hope you go there whenever you get the time. Outside of that, we also have an old HQ. We used to give out this place to big companies so that they could work from Veilstone City. But we've had to close it down for, reasons. And we're going to turn this into a indoors resort. That's actually one of the project plans we have. As we see this city going into the future, this is going to be another one of those things that we hope is going to bring in a lot of tourism. There is another place in this city that might be of interest to you, and that place is the clothing shop. In the clothing shop, you can find all the different selection of clothings. You can find footwear, you can find headwear, you can find accessories, upper garments, lower garments, everything that you can imagine you can find in the clothing shop. And judging from how you are dressed, I think you could use a little bit of a makeover, if I'm being honest. But this clothing shop wasn't always a clothing shop. It actually used to be a game corner. Some years ago, when Maylene was the gym leader of this place, the previous gym leader prior to myself, she was approached by a group of investors who suggested that they would help build a department store, and in exchange, Maylene allows them to create a game corner. She accepted, but she didn't know that there were also games involving gambling in the game corner. You could use actual Pokédollars to play slots and different games, so a lot of the Veilstonians were getting addicted to these games. So Maylene, being very, very cautious and worrisome about the well-being and health of the Veilstonian people, decided to close down the game corner after their contract ran out. I think the game corner company is still around. I believe their main headquarters is in Kanto, in the Celadon city. I think that's where their main game corner is, so they're still around, just not in Sinnoh anymore. And we transformed it into a clothing shop. Shortly afterwards, Maylene stepped down, so I took over, and I just added one more thing in the things that we do, which is in this very gym, I do some trainings for people that come from all over the different parts of the Pokemon world. You know, people come in from Unova, people come in from Kalos, people come in from Johto, and I train them mentally and physically as well to make sure they're on top of their game. That's pretty much what we do, and I hope after hearing this you do take your time around this whole place and do explore Veilstone City in much more detail. But I know you're here to challenge me, so let's talk about Pokemon battling, right? Regarding the Pokemon battle, my rules are quite simple. I believe in integrity and fairness, so if you don't mind me asking, how many gym badges do you have? 2, okay. And how many Pokemon do you have? 4, okay. Well, I use 3 Pokemon for people with 2 gym badges, so I'm gonna make a request. If you don't mind, can you also use 3 Pokemon in this battle? It wouldn't really be fair, right, for you to use 4 Pokemon and I use 3. I think as a fighter you would imagine that the battlefield should be plain, equal, and fair, right? Well, if you had 2 Pokemon, I would have used 2 Pokemon as well, just so you know. And it's not really a rule by the Pokemon Academy, so you can always just say no. You accept? Well, see, I had a feeling that you were someone with integrity and a sense of justice and fairness, and I was correct to think that. Much better than the previous person that challenged me. They used all their Pokemon. Yeah, it ended up not mattering. I was not able to win, but still, just to see the sign of integrity from someone is refreshing. So then, I think that's enough talking. I really want to see and test how strong you are. I love to see people grow. during our battle. So I'm gonna try and see if I can get something out of you as well. As the gym leader of Veilstone City, I accept your challenge. Meditate, I choose you. The first move always determines the result of the battle. Meditate, use flash. Impressive, your Magikarp knows more than splash. Use flash again. This Magikarp has guts. Perhaps I can push it and unleash its true potential. Let's see how gutsy you really are. Use Drain Punch. You're going to have to do more than that to defeat my Meditite. Come on, Magikarp, push yourself. I know you have it in you. Amazing. Let's get this battle started for real then. Send him flying with the Drain Punch. Come back, Meditite. Reducing my speed with Bulldoze? That was smart. But let's see how you handle my next Pokemon. Go, Machoke. You're flying now, but I'm gonna show you Rock Bottom. Machoke, use Rock Tomb. Swapping out your Gyarados to not get hit with the Rock Tomb? You're battling really smartly. Perhaps not having the Puneri is really making you focus more. Use Low Sweep, Machoke. Use Low Sweep again, Machoke, but try to get a critical hit. You did your best. Come back. You've pushed me to my limit, but you don't understand. I'm the most lethal when I'm cornered. Time to play the game. Finish him off, Lucario. This is what it comes down to. Alright, Gyarados, let's see how strong you really are. Use Drain Punch, Lucario. This Bulldoze is a real problem. I gotta approach this differently. Use Screech, Lucario. I knew I could count on you to survive that move. Here, take a Hyper Potion. We're gonna go all in with one last punch. Show your fighting spirit, Lucario. Survive the next Bulldoze and then follow up with the hardest hitting Drain Punch ever. Do it now! No. That was our only chance. Lucario, try to dodge the Bulldoze. Man, looks like I poked the bear, and I paid the price for it. You beat me fair and square. Well done. Ow. I didn't think you had this much force behind your punch. But I have to say, that was a great battle. There we go. That was a great battle. Even though I lost, I had a really great time. And I have to say, your Magikarp pushing itself beyond its limit, turning into Gyarados, that was my favorite part because that's what I do best. I love to bring out people's untapped potential, and I think I was able to do just that. Not only with the Magikarp, but yourself as well. When you fought me on equal grounds, you knew that you didn't have an opportunity to mess up because you didn't have another Pokemon that could take cover. So you tried a lot more than you would have if you had 4 Pokemon. So for that, congratulations. But this moment is all about you. And since you've beaten me, you are very deserving of this right here. This right here is the gym badge for Veilstone City. And you have earned this 100%. Here you go. Since you're here, I might as well give you something else as well, right? I think one of the things that every gym leader does now is give out their favorite card, right? So here's my favorite card. This card is practically a helmet, and the reason I'm giving this to you is when I start swinging, I have a helmet on. So that's my favorite card, and it's now for you to keep. And one more thing. The strength with which you punched me, I think that really warrants a reward. So here you go. This right here is HM Strength. Your Pokemon can learn it. You probably have a spare Pokemon. I think Boneri can learn it, probably. But if you don't, your Pokedex can also use it with a wild Pokemon. So this is for you to keep. The strength behind that punch warrants the move Strength. So here you go. And I have to say though, that punch really woke me up in the morning. No amount of coffee can have the kind of effect that punch did. Just what I needed in the morning to get started. If you want an advice from a gym leader, I would highly suggest that first, you take a look around Veilstone City. I would really appreciate it. But the other thing is, if you go south, you'll get to a lake. It's a very beautiful lake. I think you'll have a good time there. I think you should go there. And if you keep going south, you'll get to a beach. So it's a beautiful beach. I noticed that right now you don't really have any good Pokemon that are ground type. Maybe you can find something over there. And if you keep going towards the west after you go south, you will get to Pastoria City that has a water type gym. And you already have a Grotle on your team, so it would be nice to challenge that gym next. And there is the Safari World there too, so I think you'll have fun in the Safari World. Maybe you'll find something over there too. That's the advice I will give as a seasoned veteran who has seen a lot of trainers come in here. I would still recommend you don't go back to Heart Home City yet. I don't think you are strong enough to beat that gym leader. What I've noticed is trainers usually need around 4 gym badges after they can challenge Heart Home City, and so that's my recommendation. It was a real pleasure to battle you, and if you ever need to work on your physical or mental health, you can always come back into this wonderful gym. Thank you so much.